Hey everybody, welcome in. My name's Jakin, and in today's video we're going to be building some shelves and some tote storage for some brand new totes we just got. So this all started a few weeks ago. We had our realtor come out and show us things around the house that we could do to increase the value of our home to prepare it for selling. And one of the things she said actually kind of surprised me. She said having a perfectly organized barn basically actually adds value to your home because people can envision what it's like to have a nice organized barn. And as you can see, we got lots of stuff that needs to be organized. This stuff was actually over on this wall to begin with, but we moved it out of the way so we could get the shelves going. In the previous video, we cleaned the floor in here and got some stuff moved around to prepare for the building of these shelves. So make sure you check that video out before this one. So the plan is I'm gonna build some shelves similar to those. They're made out of 2x4s and OSB, but those shelves are 20 inches deep. And this section I'm going to do 24 inches deep because the boxes of flake for my concrete coating side business are 12 inches deep and we want to be able to try to fit all those on the shelves. So we're going to go a little deeper than those. So that'll be the first section, just shelves like that. And then there's going to be some tote storage. So we're going to build like your typical, you guys have probably seen them before, but the shelves where like the totes individually slide in. That way you can take any of the totes. They're not stacked on top of each other. So you can just get bottom ones, top ones, whatever. So there's gonna be 2 rows of, I think 5 is the plan right now. So we'll see what height that ends up at and stuff. But so we got a bunch of new totes. We got some wood. We had this wood out back just under a tarp. And then we're gonna do OSB for the shelves. So let's get to it. One other thing is that the floor slopes just a little bit that way. And I wanna keep the shelves level. So I might have to adjust the height of my post on that end. But for now, I'm gonna cut one that's this height and then get it screwed into here. And then I'll be able to start building my shelves. I'll get my other, I'll see what height that needs to be for level. Probably what I'll do is put my laser level from the top of that and then see where that shelf ends up. And then that's how I'll get my height for that post. Okay, so I went ahead and got this one cut to match the height of this shelf. But this one sticks out at 24 inches, unlike this shelf at 20, so they don't quite line up together. And then I also cut this one. I have a green laser up here. I don't know if it shows up on camera or not, but that's how I got my height on this. And this will be the support on this side. So now I'm gonna go cut some bunch of 24s. There's 4 shelves, 2 on each end, so I need 8. 8 of these are gonna, I guess it's 24 minus 1 2x4, so 1.5 inches. So it'll be 22.5 inches I'll cut these at, because at the back, they're gonna screw into these posts. There's not gonna be another 2x4 support back there. They're just gonna screw right into these posts. And then the back support will go across and screw right into all these studs. So I'm gonna get 8 of them cut at 22.5 inches. All right, I got all 8 of those cut. I'm gonna start attaching them onto there. I gotta mark out my shelf height on this side. Like I said, I'm gonna go off of these shelves and then I'll level, and then I'll figure out where level is on that side. So what I'm gonna do, because the 2x4 that's the front of the shelf is gonna be flush with the front of the post. So I need to be 1.5 inches back with those 22.5 inches I just cut. So I'm gonna mark this. The speed square has slots on it, so I'm gonna mark it at 1.5 inches. Whoops, got a little squirrely here. I need to set this down. Put it at 1.5 inches. So these 2x4s will be screwed into that post and then they'll come up to here. That way that front of the shelf can go like this and then be flush with the post. Now I'm gonna measure those shelves and mark it out on that board. Okay, so I got this marked out where the 2x4s are gonna come in. Top shelf, second shelf, third shelf, bottom shelf. I'm gonna start screwing them in. All right, I got some weird stuff going on because I think the concrete right back here kind of slopes up or something. So all my shelves are going kind of out of whack. So I think what I'm gonna do is I care more about the shelf height at the front, and then I'll just level each one to the wall. This is the level my wife got me. It's actually very finicky, which I like because I like to be really precise. I figured it would just be green if it was anywhere within the bubble, but it's not. It's like pretty picky. It wants to be right in the center, which is nice. Okay, so what I got going on this side now, I got my laser for the top of that shelf. And then I just stood up this board, or this post. I held it out here where it's gonna go. And then I line up that laser, and then that's how I mark my line for the top of the shelf. So I'm gonna get that first one screwed in, and then I'll laser the next 3, just so that everything's level. Okay, I know I just said I was gonna use the laser level, which I got this one set, but for this cross support, this first one, now that I have it set, I can screw that in, and then from then on down, I'll just build that shelf cross support, and then I'll just level that, and that'll tell me where my line is on this post. Rather than trying to get the laser perfect every time, that's kind of a pain. Now that I know where these are, I can screw it in here, and I'll just put the level on it, and then screw it in on that side. So I'm gonna get my first front piece of the shelf cut. Okay, so like I said, instead of doing the laser, I'm just gonna screw in this side, put the level on, and then I'll be able to screw it in over there. Since this level is so short, we'll just put it on top of this one. All right, we're gonna cut a bunch more at this length because we need them at the back too. So we need 4 at the back, 2 more at the front, so 6 more. I just remember the back has the 2x4s running that way. So it's actually, you gotta cut 3 inches off because you gotta cut 1.5 inches off each end. So the back ones are all gonna be 3 inches shorter than the front ones. Based on the boxes of flake that are going to be on here, there's going to be just under 500 pounds on each shelf. So I'm screwing it into every stud in the back. And I'm definitely going to add a support here in the middle. All right, I got the shelf supports all done. So I don't have OSB right now. We're gonna pick it up tomorrow morning, and then I'll just rip down in half. Just 2 pieces of OSB is all I'll need for these shelves. It's a little shorter than 8 feet, and it's exactly 2 feet wide, or deep. So now I'm gonna get started on the tote shelves. I was just seeing how high, or basically how many I'm gonna end up doing. I think it's gonna be 5, not 6, just based on the spacing. I think it'll end up a little bit taller than this shelf. So I'm gonna get the 2x4s and start marking them all out where all the cross supports are gonna go. All right, so I got all my standing supports cut, and I got my top and bottoms cut. So now I need to go through and mark where all the cross supports are gonna go that hold the totes. So I really need to mark my lines on one, and then I can just transfer my line over to the next ones. 2 of these are gonna be the ones in the middle, so they'll need marks on both sides, and the other 4 are just on the outsides. So I have the 27-gallon totes from Sam's Club. I think you can get them other places too, but so what I'm doing, because the vertical supports sit on top of that 2x4 on the bottom, my first measurement is 15 inches, and then each subsequent measurement is 17, 17, 17, 17. Then it leaves 2.5 inches at the top for the top of the tote. And then the 2x4s that run across the top will sit on top of that 2x4, and then the ones on the bottom are underneath. So this first one is at 15. Okay, so I'll line these ones up together, and then I'll just transfer my line onto the next board. This one, I'll make this one of my middle supports. So I'll just flip it over, line it up again. You want to make sure you transfer your line off the same board the whole time, because if you transfer it to this one and then the next one you transfer from this one to the next one and you keep going, you could be moving around. If you just use one the whole time, then you'll be right on every time, or wrong every time if you did it wrong. But they'll all be the same at least. The overall length on these 2x4s is 85.5 inches, and that's for 5 totes. Okay, so I'm actually gonna screw all these in on the ground and then just stand it up into place. It'll be a lot easier. So get the outside ones, make sure your lines are all in the right spot. 2 outside ones. For 2 totes wide, the bottom and top boards are 45.5 inches. We'll get these all screwed in, then we'll get the middle one measured. I'm just taking a moment to admire the rain because we just had like a super dry July, and today's just been like a really nice long soaking rain. This morning we had 1/2 inch, then it was dry for a while, and now it's been raining for the last few hours. Nice and peaceful. I planted my food plots last night for deer hunting to get ahead of this rain, so I'm thankful. Okay, so the way I'm gonna get this spacing, it's obviously in half, but that's the center of the 2x4, and you wanna go to the side of it, so it's actually 22. So it's actually 22 inches. If you wanted to do from both outsides, you could do this, and then that's where your center goes. 22. You can just mark an X on one side, then you know where to line up that center one. So now we're gonna grab one of the center ones. We had lines on both sides. Make sure you got the top going the right way. You wanna be pretty precise on this because we wanna be spaced perfectly evenly for the totes. Then you just repeat on the next one. Okay, I'll stand the second one up into place. One thing I want to mention real quick, if you're putting it in an area that gets wet, like there's frequent moisture on the ground, then I would recommend using treated wood on the bottom, just those bottom 2 pieces. This area of my barn never ever gets wet, so I'm not worried about it. And I have a coating on the floor, so I'm not worried about moisture coming from underneath. So for me, regular wood is okay, but I would definitely recommend treated if you're putting it like on regular raw concrete or an area that you think could get wet in your basement or something. I just realized right here, we kind of lucked out on this. I thought it was gonna end up being in a bad spot, but that's actually not too bad. So now I gotta cut my cleats going this way, which are 30 inches. And I gotta cut a bunch of them, 20 of them at 30 inches. That's gonna eat up some 2x4s quick. For this, I'm gonna put a stopper at 30 inches. All right, here we go. Do one test cut, push it up against there, gently. And we'll just double check it. Perfect. Okay. 19 more. I'm gonna clamp one on just to hold it in place. There's one. I'm gonna go through and screw all the rest on. Okay, so now that it's all screwed together, get it into position, make sure it's level. It's probably not right now because... All right, so you definitely want to screw it to the back wall because otherwise it gets a little wobbly. So I'm gonna do that now. It doesn't need a whole lot, as you can see. All right, there you have it. Some tote shelves. I'm gonna fill it up and we'll see how it looks. Okay, that one's a little snug. Might need to loosen that top up a little bit. And we got to do something about that because it wants to go up and then it catches on that back one. So we definitely got to adjust that. All right, last one. So I will say it's a little more snug than I was expecting. I actually went off measurements from somebody else I found online. I could leave the link in the description for his video. It's a pretty good how-to, but I will say that's a little more snug than I was expecting. I kind of expected them to just sit right on there, but they rub. It's rubbing on this black. I mean, it's not enough to matter. Definitely need to address this up here. There needs to be a board going back to keep it from tipping up. And I think I need a little more space. But these are good. And honestly, this is more space than I feel like. This is kind of quite a bit of wasted space. You could definitely lose like at least an inch between every measurement just to bring the whole thing down a little bit more. But otherwise, I'd say it's pretty nice. It's amazing to me how big these totes are. They're only like $7 or $8 a piece, which is good. But like we ordered them online, they come in packs of 4 and a few of the lids came cracked. So we probably got to return at least one box. We ordered 16 of them. This takes only 10 obviously, so we got 6 extra. I mean, these totes can be used on other shelves and stuff too. Yeah, I definitely need to figure this out. That's way too tight up there. I can either cut longer boards up on top or I can just take the screws out and move it out a little bit and then it'll just be off a tiny bit. And it's both sides, so it's not like this guy off to the right or left. Both of these are snug. But for some reason, all these are good. Yeah, you can't even get it back there because that 2x4 across the top, this just goes up. If it slid really nice, it might not hit it, but that's still annoying to me that it wants to jump up and catch that. So I'll probably put a 2x4 this way to keep it from doing that. And then I'm gonna get OSB, like I said, for those shelves. And then I'm gonna put a piece on top here. That way there's next extra storage up there. Maybe I'll just put 2 more totes up on top. Anyways, I'll check back in tomorrow when we got the OSB. All right, it's the next day now. I got OSB for the shelves. I've been thinking about this all night. I think I'm gonna just cut 4 new pieces, 2 for the top, 2 for the bottom, because this is way too snug. There's quite a bit of friction on here. And there's like, I think I could do an inch wider over the whole thing. And then each gap would be like maybe a 1/4 inch wider. I'm gonna cut 4 new pieces and then I'll just take these out and lay it down. And then I'll just swap the boards out and then flip it over, swap the boards out. I'm not gonna show you guys all that. All right, so I put longer boards on the top and the bottom. My original measurement was 45.5 and I changed it to 46.5. I also added some pieces going this way to keep the tote from tipping up as I push it in. And it gives me support for the OSB I want to put on top for another shelf. So, moment of truth. Let's see if it works better this time. I should be able to slide this in super easily. Look at that. Now it can't tip up at all. So when you push it, it's just gonna go right in. That's so much better. And do it one-handed with my left hand. It's so easy now. So again, I got these dimensions from somebody online. I don't know if it's the exact same brand totes or not. It looks like the same ones, but who knows? I got these from Sam's Club, like I said. If you guys build this, when you're watching through my video and I say 45.5, switch it to 46.5. It's so much better. And honestly, you could change this whole thing and go at least an inch lower on all these. Even the bottom one, that could be 14 and these could all be 16. There's a lot of wasted space here. So I'm kind of annoyed about that just because then the whole thing would be closer to the top of this. But it is what it is. It looks nice, works functionally. Now we're gonna cut some OSB for the shelves. All right, I got the OSB cut for these 4 shelves. So let's put it in place. Look at that, all 4 perfect fit. So now, I'm gonna screw all these down and then my plan is to add a support in the middle just because all that weight. If you see with me on here, it does bow a little in the middle. So I'm just gonna add a 2x4 right in the front here, just screw them all in. All right, I just cut the piece of OSB for the top of the tote shelf. There we go. All right, well, the whole point of this is to organize my stuff. So I might as well start loading it up. It's kind of nice right now, have it all like this, but I built it for a purpose. So let's get the stuff on there and get this place looking pristine. All right, I'm gonna start with all the liquid. Actually, I just remembered I wanna add that 2x4 right here. So I'm gonna do that real quick. Okay, now I'm gonna start putting the 5-gallon buckets underneath. Okay, so now the big one. The boxes of flake that were all stacked over here. I should be able to do 2 per shelf and potentially 6 wide. So we'll see. And now I can organize it a little bit. Before it was like I had 2 stacks deep. I can show you a picture before all this. There's 2 stacks deep and I had to like move stuff to try to get down to like boxes that were down below. Now I can just, if anything, move one and get the one behind it. But now I can sort it a little easier by color and stuff. Got some other random concrete coating stuff that's not flake boxes that can go on top. couple pump sprayers. One of them's got like concrete sealer in it. The other one's got basically just water and a cleaning solution. I'm just gonna have this be a complete concrete coating shelf. So I have some stuff on another shelf over there that's concrete coating stuff. I'm just gonna put it all up here. So this is just all one deal. All right, guys, there you have it. Got all these shelves full of all my concrete coating stuff. Looks so different than before. And then I got all these totes still that I have to fill. So that's gonna take me a while. Put everything away and finish organizing this whole place. But at least we got this all built and now I can organize everything. That just looks awesome. But that's gonna do it for this video. Like I said, I got a lot of work ahead of me still organizing everything, but I'm very happy with how this turned out. So I really appreciate you guys watching. This is just the beginning of us getting our house ready to sell. So there's a lot of other projects coming up that we have planned just to get it in tip-top shape to get maximum value out of it. So make sure you stay tuned for those videos and we'll see you in the next one.